Hi, everyone. Welcome to Childbirth with Grace.tv. I'm Sandy Konkar, and I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping here in the beginning. But just to let you know, our topic today is going to be the warrior goddess within pain management, and it's episode 2. And Ilia is going to be speaking of non focused awareness technique, part 2. But I'm going to first do a little bit of housekeeping just to remind everyone that if you are out on Google or YouTube, we invite you to come over to Childbirth with Grace.tv so you can join our community and engage and put in your questions and your comments so Ilia can answer them online or, on the live show. The other thing is excuse me, when you're putting in your post, make sure that that little check mark is off because right at the upper left-hand corner, because that refreshes every 90 seconds. And if you are typing a long comment or question, you will lose it if it's checked. So be sure that that's unchecked. And Ilia's got some great exciting news to share today as well. So stay with us, and here's Elia.
Hi everyone, welcome to Childbirth with Grace.tv. A, it's a new beginning, so this is great. And as usual, my intention is to awaken your life power to help you tap into your personal birth journey. So just remember that by watching and participating in this show and these classes, that you are agreeing to the disclaimer that's located at the bottom of the theater. So when you have a chance, make sure you read that. And without any ado, hopefully you have your, because this is a continuation of the series of Warrior Goddess Within. So hopefully you have your little bowl of ice, some paper towels, and a little cloth towel ready to go. And we're going to do technique number 2, which is actually, this is part 1 of this technique because it's pretty involved. It's very interesting. When I started reading about this technique, it sounds really simple. It's called the non-focus awareness technique, and sounds simple, sort of like the breathing that we did last week, but it actually is really deep, and it comes from in swordsmanship, which sort of goes hand in hand with our warrior goddess within theme. And when a swordsman, when they're practicing, they have to practice this non-focus awareness of the total moment. So of course their motivation is like the ultimate motivation, which is that they know if their concentration gets lost, if they have a lapse in concentration, they could be killed. So they're pretty motivated to stay focused. But we could bring that technique into the world of preparing for childbirth, or even dealing with any kind of painful situation, by practicing it. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit into how this works, at least part 1 of how this works. And I have notes, so I want to make sure I cover everything. So you're going to hear a little rustling and stuff like that. So with all this in mind, the idea is to keep yourself from having an internal struggle that is triggered by your environment. And I'll give you an example. If you're in labor and you are trying to deal with the contractions, and you suddenly hear your toddler start screaming. Well, you know, hopefully you're not alone, so someone can attend to your other child, but it still is going to trigger, because you're going to be like, oh my God, you know, what's going on over there? And then that can trigger the whole increasing your tension, and therefore increasing the pain, which then can increase the fear. Whole cycle, that's what we're trying to break, is that cycle. So that's one example of how you can break that internal struggle that from your environment. Another one is if you're in the hospital and you're dealing with the contractions, and then, you know, someone walks into the room and sort of disturbs your concentration. Those are all things are going to happen. You're going to hear things, see things, smell things. You know, things are going to happen that's going to break your concentration. And non-focus awareness, the idea is you want to bring your whole experience together as one unit. So from that point of view, one of the, like, for example, the samurai warrior, their concentration is super fierce. The idea is you become very present, aware of everything, but nothing distracts you. And that's the key, is being aware, but don't let it distract you. So with that in mind, let's see. Oh yeah, here I made a note to myself to say that one of the best ways of coping with fear, exhaustion, and the pain of labor is to focus on the immediate situation in its wholeness, rather than letting any isolated fragments grab your attention. So I gave you that example. You know, if your toddler starts screaming, or someone comes into the room and they have like this totally different energy because they're not in pain, so they're coming in, you know, thinking, oh yay, you're in labor, and they're like, and you're right in the middle of a contraction, and you know, it could just throw off everything. So the idea is, when we start doing these exercises, is that you want to stay open to all sensations moment to moment. So what this does is it removes the pain from its central place in your awareness. So instead of focusing in on the pain just by itself, oh, I'm in pain, and oh, this is terrible, and whatever else you start thinking about in your head, what you're doing is you're actually grabbing, almost everything becomes a focal point. So you're not focusing in on one particular thing. You're sort of just, as things move in and out of your consciousness or awareness, you just let it move in, and you acknowledge that you heard what you heard, or smelled it, or whatever. And of course, part of this is also going backwards to last week, is one of the things you can become aware of is how you're breathing, which is, so now instead of being focused in on your breath, you're actually focusing in on everything. So this is where you develop a multi-layered awareness to how you're experiencing the pain. In this multi-layered awareness, you are less self-centered and less self-conscious. So it doesn't become about me, the pain, or oh my gosh, I don't have any clothes on, or I'm exposed. You know, you start not thinking about that, and it helps you not think about these things that are going to come up when for example, I'll tell you about the self-centered part. You know, you're in pain, right? So of course you're the center of attention. But these days, you know, when you have birth, sometimes it becomes this big, like, family party. You know, some people like all their family members to be there. And I've been at births where it's almost like being, you know, you're in a theater with however many people, because, you know, now in hospitals or even at home or however way you set up how you want to do your birth and how you feel it supports you, you can have more than one person there in the room. And one of the things that happens that you don't become aware of until the moment is that when you have multiple people in the room with you, where you thought, okay, in when you were setting this whole thing up and visualizing who you want as your support system during labor, whether you're having a home birth or, you know, birth center or at the hospital, and you thought, okay, yeah, I want both grandmas there, and I want my sister there, and I want my sister-in-law there, and all, and my cousin and my friend from high school, and I want her, and then of course the father of the baby, or, you know, it could get really like my mom, my dad, my uncle, aunt. It could be really fun and thinking about, wow, all these people are going to be with me. But then in the moment when you're in pain, you suddenly realize that, oh my God, all these people are here and I'm in pain. And they're having sidebar conversations. Like they're talking about, you know, whatever last movie they saw, or they're talking about whatever. Unfortunately, I've heard all kinds of conversations happening around the woman who's in labor. And suddenly it's almost like you feel like you're left out. So then you become more self-centered and you want, you know, so what this does, this non-focused awareness, especially if you decide to have all these people with you, you have to be aware, you know, a lot of labor is waiting and they're not in pain, but you are. So you're dealing with every single contraction and what's going on and what have you. You're dealing very moment to moment, every breath to breath. But they're supporting you. And sometimes, you know, depending on who it is, you know, they may sort of get bored a little bit. They could bring food to eat there and you can't eat. And so a lot of things can be happening around you where you suddenly feel like no one's paying attention to you. And non-focused awareness, part one, it helps you create this environment around you where you're aware of everything and you don't care. You take it in and you let it go. It just becomes part of your experience. You don't give it any judgment. You don't give it a value. You just, you know, let it happen. So, and that's what multi-layered awareness is all about. My machine's doing something funky. Hold on. I have to make sure it doesn't do anything. Okay. So yeah, so the goal is that you bring everything around you becomes part of your birth experience. That's what non-focused awareness means. So one of the things you want to do is, the other thing is how you implement this is you actually bring in all your senses. You work with all your senses. So what does that mean? The sense of sight. Okay. Instead of super focusing in on something, you want a soft gaze. You want to sort of open up your periphery. and not necessarily stare down at something, but sort of just take on the whole of what you're seeing, not only what's in front of you, but what's off to the side. Like, you know, I could see my hand over here, or I could see my hand over here. I could see there's a ceiling fan in this room, so I could see that going around. I could see my lap, but I'm still looking forward. It's soft gaze. So that's one. Sounds. You may hear the clock ticking. So sometimes that all of a sudden becomes part of. You may hear the sound of if you're home, you may hear the sound of the fan. You may hear your dog barking. You may hear, like the example I gave you, your other child, your younger child, who's going to be, yay, a brother or a sister. You may hear them start complaining or crying or talking to you or whatever. You may hear sideline conversations where someone may be saying whatever, had nothing to do with your labor. They're just talking amongst themselves about, oh yeah, do you want something to drink? You know, they're not talking to you, they're talking to each other. You may hear things that aren't that might disturb you. You may hear like the nurse come in and say, oh, you know, whatever they may be talking about. They could be talking about something else, but it might be disturbing. You have to just let it go. Okay, so that's your sense of your hearing. Smell. Of course, you can control what you smell, and that's going to be a later technique, and I'm going to that's, you know, to be continued. But sometimes when you have other people helping you, I mean, they have to eat. You're not going to be too hungry, but they have to eat. So they may bring in food so they don't leave you alone. They may bring food in, and suddenly you smell, you know, I don't know. Like, I think the most common thing is the fast food stuff. So that, because people are rushed, so you may smell a hamburger or French fries or all this stuff that you're like, ooh, but maybe it won't be ooh, because at the time you're in labor, so you're not interested, but then it may cause you to feel, I don't want to smell that, or what have you. It could be curry food. Who knows what they ordered, who knows, but all of a sudden that smell will come in, and you're like, oh, you know, so you want to just incorporate that and say, okay, I smell that. You may feel your sense of touch. I remember, particularly for me, this was interesting for me. My last birth, I had at home, had my last baby at home. And I thought, whoa, I really wanted to have a water birth. Why not? Yay, I have a big tub. Let's do it. So, you know, most of my labor was in the water. I loved it. The warm hydrotherapy is like another form of pain management, but I loved it. Many times during that labor, or during that pregnancy, I practiced all these techniques I'm teaching you actually in the tub, because I knew I wanted to birth in the tub. So we were all ready to do this in the tub. And here I am. I was fine. I was doing, you know, it was hurting. But compared to my other labors, it was going really nice and quickly. And because I had all these techniques, you know, that I was using. So I wasn't, you know, grabbing onto the pain and holding onto the pain and then fighting the pain and running away from the pain. Because that's the whole thing, is we want to release that fear, tension, pain cycle. We gotta, wherever we can get it, we need to get rid of it. And then that's how you're going to have a easier birth. So anyway, so here I was in the tub thinking, oh, great. You know, I had everything going for me. Everyone was around, beautiful candlelights. And suddenly my water broke, and I kid you not, I suddenly could feel every molecule of water on my body, and I hated it. And I tried to like, okay, this is but it was like every time I took a breath in and out, and that just, you know, you breathe in and out your belly, and it displaced the water in the tub, and then the water in the tub sort of came back. It felt like I was in a huge waves of it. Just accelerated the pain. Even it was did the opposite of what I thought it would be. So the lesson here is you don't know. You don't know how you're going to respond to touch. So in that moment, I just suddenly was like, okay, this is happening. I need to get up. And my midwife said, are you sure? Because you wanted to do a water birth. And I'm like, no, I'm out. Next contraction, I got up, I dried myself off, went to the bed, had the baby, done. So you gotta, non-focused awareness, part one. You gotta just be aware and acknowledge what happened, and just, you know, if what you're feeling is what you need to just let it happen. So that's a sense of touch. You may also feel your partner touching you, and sort of bring that into your labor as well. Your sense of taste. It's always good, you know, you're breathing all kinds of ways. Sometimes you're breathing through your mouth. So it's always good to have something to sip on, or, you know, depending on where you're having your baby, they may say you can't have anything to drink, but lollipops or popsicles are always okay. So with that in mind, you know, have your favorite lollipops handy, and whatever it is, strawberry flavored, apple flavored, you know, have it handy. And when you put it in your mouth, just incorporate that as your non-focused awareness. Like, okay, now I'm tasting this sour apple lollipop, or whatever your favorite taste is. Butterscotch. Ooh. Okay. Intuition. Like the example I gave you of my birth in the tub. I had to change position. I just knew. It was like, it didn't matter what my dreams were. Oh yeah, I wanted a water birth. It didn't matter at the time. And you know what? You have to follow your gut feeling. If you got to change, if you got to get out of the water, you got to get out. If you don't want to get out of the water, you don't get out. Of course, you know, you want to make sure you're listening to your care providers, because they could see the bigger picture and know what's going on. If there's something else going on that maybe you shouldn't be in the tub. So you got to be ready to follow what they're telling you to do for your own safety and your baby's safety. So, but that's, you know, use your intuition. If you're sitting and you want to stand, if you need to wiggle back and forth, if you, whatever, you want to turn to your side, you want to be in a rocking chair, any of that. And then the other sense is whatever you're sensing in your body. Feelings of pressure, feelings of stretching, those are all things. So basically, non-focused awareness is actually just grabbing the whole big picture and just letting bits and pieces of it just come in and out of your awareness, and not latching onto one thing. So that being said, I just want to make sure if everyone tuned in late, this is Ilia Blandina, Childbirth with Grace.tv. And we're about ready to do our ice exercise and incorporate what we've learned so far, which is non-focused awareness. So last week, of course, you know, I did the, you know, let's see how this feels to you before we do any of the technique. But this week we're going to just go straight into it and do tapping along with the non-focused awareness. So so Sandy, are you ready with a timer?
I am. Just let me know when you want me to start.
Okay. All right. So as usual, get a paper towel, You want to put there goes that. There goes the ice. You want to put the ice inside the paper towel because you don't want to put ice directly on your skin. I'm going to hold it in my left hand and the timer goes on. So I'm going to talk through this one so I could tell you what I'm experiencing and give you a guide to how you should do this. So I'm starting to feel pain, so I'm just going to soften my gaze. And I can hear my fan in the room. And I'm going to start tapping because tapping always amplifies the technique. Particularly this one, you are introducing touch. And of course, activating your meridian systems. So
4
and
1.
That's it?
Contraction.
Wow. I like this non-focus awareness. That 60 seconds went by fast. Wow. You know what? That's amazing. I don't know about you. So my feelings of how that went for me personally, and this is what you need to do, is if you catch last week's show, we did like a gauging of not doing any intervention at all, and we do just the ice holding, and we experienced that pain for 60 seconds, and we gave it a subjective unit of distress without any technique at all. And I guess I was feeling it at like a level 6 or so, or 5, whatever it was. And that's your baseline of how you feel pain. And then we do it with the technique, and then you measure how you felt the pain then. And what I found is, certainly compared to like last week, the time went a lot faster by sort of opening up my awareness to my environment and softening my gaze. And so that was my experience. I'd love to hear what your experience is. So, if you get a chance, send me a little holler in the little chat box. Is anyone asking any questions?
No, we're all good right at this
Oh, okay. Awesome. So if something comes up when you practice this technique, because this is your homework for the week, is to practice this technique. You want to, and you have any questions, please feel free to put a question here in the Hangouts or wherever, all the different places there on the fan page or that. So now for the special announcement, great news. I have, we created a membership site. It's for childbirthwithgrace.tv, and it's called Awaken Your Life Power. You could see it on my fan page. It's right there. It says AYLP benefits. Is that right, Sandy? It says AYLP benefits, something like that.
Yeah.
And
cool.
And I actually did a whole bunch of promotions today about it. Here, let me see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right below.
Yeah, right below our wonderful lady mermaid, Childbirth with Grace. There's Awaken Your Life Power membership. Please tap on that. Check out what there is, what we have to offer. Basically, from here on out, the shows are going to be in replay for about a week. And then after that, they're going to go into a special membership site, and you'll be able to have access to them 24/7 for a really small investment of $12.97 per month. And we also will have we have a secret Facebook page where we can all hang out and really support each other. The idea is to create a community, and I'm going to be doing these live classes every week. So for the rest of the year, it's all about pain management, but I'm also going to bring in guest speakers that specialize in different areas. We're going to talk about any pregnancy issues, childbirth issues, giving birth issues, which is what we're focusing in right now, and parenting. So any parenting tips, and how to incorporate tapping into your family life. And I have really great plans there in the future, because I have a wonderful specialist who's going to join the show, and he's really good. So that's all I'm going to say. He's really, really good. So especially about the parenting component, he's my go-to. So so $12.97, $12.97 every month. Get you in, get you locked into that price. And the other things that is really cool about it is, just for the members, I'm going to have a live Q&A once a month. So that's super cool. So we can connect just the members. Also, there's, what else is there? Oh, weekly tips and inspirational affirmations, or anything. And then any products that I come up with, because there's a lot of stuff under development. You'll have access to that before anyone else. So that's going to be fun. In fact, one of the products I already have a link to in my actual theater. If you go to the childbirthgrace.tv, where hopefully that's where you're seeing the whole show kind of thing. But if you're out there in somewhere else, like Google Plus or YouTube, you could go to the theater, and if you scroll all the way down, I created a meditation and insights and tapping and meditation CD that talks about overcoming the mirror, and insights tapping and deep meditation to redefine how you see yourself. So that's fun. I enjoyed creating that, and I'm actually going to do some live classes. So if you're in the South Florida area, you're more than welcome to come to Gaia Dance Unity Dance Studio, and that's Gaia DU, and come and actually meet me in live person. And I'm gonna have like a monthly class there in live. But meanwhile, you won't miss a thing if you get the CD, because that gives you the meat and potatoes of what I'm going to be covering in the monthly classes. And of course, you have me every week. And then if you join the membership, you'll have me, all the replays from here on out, and you'll have me just to yourself, just for the members, once a month for a Q&A where you can submit all your questions. And the neat thing too, which I just thought of, it keeps popping with the membership, I'm going to look to you for guidance too, because whatever questions you may come up with, that may be like the next show, the next class that I teach is based on doing the research to your questions. You know, we could do a class on that. So you'll actually have, as a member, you'll have input into what you see in the future. So membership has its benefits. Yay! Is there any questions before we do the closing meditation? I love closing our talk with meditation. So
no, we're good today. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. So with that in mind, you're going to share the wonderful picture,
I
Sandy.
am. There you go.
And I'm going to cue the music. Okay. So what I want you to do now is just get comfortable in the chair and feel how the chair is supporting your back and your shoulders and your hips, your legs, and just feel your feet flat on the ground. And start tapping on the top of your head. Then on your third eye. Then your eyebrow point. Then the corner of your eye. Under your eye. Under your nose. Chin point. Collarbone point. Under your arm. Then back to your karate chop point. And just let your gaze at the picture on the screen soften. The whole while, just tap on your karate chop point. And notice whatever you see in the trees. Even though the picture kept changing, it's okay. I went back to the trees. Now notice what you hear. Do you hear a clock? Or a car? Whatever you hear, just start tapping throughout all your points, starting with the top of the head, and just incorporate what you hear with what you're experiencing. Now, just notice, for me, I just heard a plane. Here we go. Now notice how it feels to have yourself tapping on your points. Now notice if there's anything that you smell. Do you have incense burning? Or candle burning? Did you put on lotion today? Do you smell any of that? Whatever you're tasting. Then bring your attention to your breath. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Now pay attention to the multiple layered awareness. Are any thoughts coming into your awareness? Are there any fears? Any doubts? Just let them pop in and out. Don't judge them. They're just going to come in and out. Now feel if any body sensations. Is your baby moving? Did you suddenly have a quick kick? Sometimes those kicks can come with a sharp pain. Did that happen? Sometimes you could feel pressure. If you're almost due, sometimes you could feel pressure deep in your pelvis. Whatever sensations you're feeling, just notice that they're there. And you could do this with your eyes open or with your eyes closed. Now put your hand on your heart, and with your opposite hand, just tap on the back of your hand. And take 3 deep breaths. And imagine a color that's surrounding you. Bring that color in through your head and let it pass through all the neural pathways of your body, all the way through the placenta into your baby, connecting with your baby and letting them know that everything's good and peaceful. Let that color run through your legs and into your feet, through your feet, and connect to the earth. Always remember that by connecting to the earth, you stay grounded and at peace. Bring that wonderful color back into your heart. And when you're ready, breathe that beautiful color of peacefulness and awareness of your environment. Non-judgmental awareness of your environment. And breathe it out 360 degrees. And when you're ready, if you had your eyes closed, open them. And there we go. Yay! Awesome. It was a great show. Come back next week for part 2 of non-focused awareness. And don't worry, because if you missed a show in the past, it's always will be available in the membership area. So please check that out and let other people know, because that way you'll be ready to have a wonderful childbirth with grace. So until we meet again, keep tapping and let the loving tree of your celestial family be your guide to having your best possible birth and awaken your life power. See you next week.